What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Unapologetically Black Male, where we talk about surviving the stigma, standards, and system. Once again, my name is Dwayne Pate. Shout out to my co-host, brother EJ Stewart, and shout out to all of you who are listening and tuning in and subscribing. We really appreciate all the support that you continue to pour out to us, and we want to make sure we give a special shout out to J Pope and Associates, who kind of gave us this idea and let us run with it and been supporting us ever since. So make sure we continue to support her. We have another great episode, another great positive African American man that is doing great things in his professionalism and in his life. So I want to really turn it over to brother Elton Brown, who's out Elton Brown Jr. Let me add a junior on it. Elton Brown.
My dad mad.
Yeah, I want to get your dad mad. Elton Brown Jr. I want to turn it over to him. He's going to give us a little information about himself, background, where he's from, and let us get a little bit of information into his life.
Thanks for having me. Again, I appreciate you having me here and inviting me to this. So that's something for me is very special, and I take sincere for that. If whoever don't know, my name is Elton Brown. I was born and raised in Newport, Virginia. Had the privilege of going to the University of Virginia, so you can see, had to represent for my university. Played professional basketball for 14 years. Had a chance to play with the Lakers, the Knicks, Chicago, Denver, and I had an opportunity to play in Europe for 6-7+ years as well. As I retired from basketball in 2017, I started a company called Boomer Transitions in 2017. And been basically focusing on that aspect of just transitioning from being a professional basketball player to now being an entrepreneur, and just really learning about the ins and outs of how to do that transitioning, because it's very hard when you're doing transitioning from all your life, from high school to college and then professional, you playing basketball. So transitioning to as I say, the real world, it was very challenging, and it was something that I really had to adapt to. So that's a little bit of a background on talking about about me.
Got you. So you say you've been playing basketball all your life, so you eventually
Yeah,
had to go retire and give it up. Or was
yeah.
it your body, or was it you realized it was time to let it go?
It was my wife.
Well, that's good answer. Good answer.
We had in 2012 my daughter was born, and I was still playing, and it was a little difficult for her, me being away with our first child at that time, just being all across the world traveling and not being able to actually have me there. It was tough on her. So, at that age, at that young age, I kind of was like, well, the money's good. I'm having fun, enjoying life. Let's keep getting this money. And then when my son was born, it was just like, she was like, hey, look, we got two now. And when I realized it was a boy, to me, it touched harder because, I grew up without a father in the home. So for me, I always said that I wanted to be there for my son. And, I could have played another 5-6 years. I could have played, easily when I took care of my body like I was supposed to and did the things I needed to do. But, I always was a man of family first. So I decided to pass on the money and pass on the quote unquote fame and just go ahead and come home and retire after 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank you for playing for my beloved Knicks.
Ah.
First and foremost, get that out the way. But I wanted to ask you what it was like having to make that decision, because I did play football for a while, my entire life, and in college,
Mhm.
but at some point had to hang it up. And
Mhm.
in higher education research, they equate that with athletes, having to walk away from the game, almost
Yeah.
like losing a family member. So how
Yeah.
was it for you? You reached a plateau that many people haven't reached. So you had
Mhm.
the highest joy, but how was it for you having to walk away, and how did you feel internally?
Wow. That's a man. That was one of them questions that you gonna make me think too hard about it, because there was a lot of emotions in that aspect of when I had to really let it go. I think for me, it was emotionally, it was it was hard. It was sometimes that it was like I would sit there and like shed a tear that I wasn't in the locker room, just laughing after practice and traveling, and just that lifestyle is so, like you said, I reached a level that I was blessed, and God blessed me with a great opportunity to play basketball. So when you have an opportunity like that and you really take advantage of it and you live for the moment, taking something away like that can be very, tough, especially mentally. It was real hard to adapt, and emotionally, I was just up and down, to be honest with you. It was, some days I was good, some days I was just like, man, I want to go back, and why did I retire so early? I had regrets on it, but then, how I handle it was just looking at my kids and looking at my wife and realizing, like, when I see my kids come and they're like, daddy, do homework with them or go outside and play. I can't do that if I'm across the world playing basketball. I can't go on date night with my wife if I'm playing basketball continuously like that. So I think that was the part that kind of like helped me get over that emotional uh, roller coaster. But it took me about 4 years, and I retired in 2017. So you can kind of see, that's like just around the corner. It was real tough, and I just had to kind of like look at it and say, look, this is your second half of life now. The first half was, basketball. Now your second half is going to be whatever you decide that you want to do in life, or whatever you wanted to do. So it was definitely tough.
Got you. Can we go back a little bit further? Let's go back to your time in Newport News. You said
Whew.
you let's touch on that a little bit, because I mean,
Bad news.
It's tough.
I don't know too much about Newport News, so kind of give us a little understanding of what the culture was like that you grew up in.
Man, Ba- like he said, it was bad news for a reason. The nickname, speaks for itself technically. I grew up in the hood. I grew up on 9th Street, 9th and Avenue, which is in Newport News. It's the bottom of the hood. You can't go any further. So like that is the main, like, all the hoods come before you even get to that hood, and then it's just a bunch of water. Um, Man, it was tough growing up. Affiliation with gangs, being in gangs, seeing everything that you think you could see in a movie like A Wire. That's how I was living. Just seeing, had friends being locked up, seeing killings and seeing death and seeing, it was it was like a normal thing for me growing up. I was blessed to be around friends, even though I was into activities that I shouldn't have been in. And my friends were, one thing I will say, my friends always let me on the path once they saw that I had an opportunity to get out the hood. They said, hey, look, oh, you 6'9", what are you doing on the corner, man? Like, you're an easy target, so, with their support, and it's, nights me working out on the court by myself, but I got 5 or 6 guys watching to make sure nobody coming over there to mess with me, because we was in that type of situations growing up. And it's pitch dark outside with one light. I got 6 guys on the court with guns all around, making sure that I'm okay while I'm practicing at nighttime. And this was like a daily thing for me. A lot of people, when they see me now, they don't have no idea about my background or what I went through, because of, I'm not the type of guy that's going to go around and boast on, like, trying to be a gangster or a tough guy. Like I always tell people, I was like, man, gangster is not pulling the trigger or beating somebody up or being a part of a gang. That's not gangster. But taking care of your family, providing for them, being a mentor, be motivation for somebody that's younger who's coming up, to be able to see that where you came from and see how you changed. I'm not afraid to tell people, because I've been locked up 3 or 4 times in my lifetime, and for serious crimes that people would never know. But that's because I don't want you to know, and I'm not proud about it to brag and be like, I'm some big tough guy. I'm already 6'9", so I stand out as it is. So if I start boasting about things I did in the past that was wrong, that doesn't really give a good example for our youth, especially, when I have 2 kids of my own. So I think it was a tough bringing. I mean, like I said, I grew up the only child, me and my mom. Um, my mom straight told me, she said, you going to be dead in jail with the way you're going. And she was, almost there. It was I got away with a lot of stuff that, to this day, I shouldn't have been here. and that light hit. You go through certain experiences, but it'd be that one or two experiences that you realize you're like, hold on, nah, that was too close. You know what I mean? It was
Mm-hmm.
just too close. So, and just changing the lifestyle. Like I said, I had great support from my friends and my hood, to be honest with you. My hood, I'll be honest, it held me down. I ain't gonna go to, but they held me down a lot. So yeah, I think growing up in Newport News, the name Bad News came from because we had like over 30 something murders in a weekend. It was like a 4-day stretch in my neighborhood area. And the media lady came on and she said, if you're a tourist or if you're not from Newport News, do not come down here. It's nothing but bad news. And this is Bad News Virginia. And that's how we actually got the name Bad News Virginia, from um, the, 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 the reporter, the news reporter. So, it was tough. I mean, it's a hoods everywhere, So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's hoods in Richmond, it's hoods in Baltimore, it's hoods in New York. I just happen to be in Newport News in that hood.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned like that because I was going that was gonna be my next question about like because when the hood see that you got something, they support you. And
Yeah.
that seemed like, and that was, and I think that's a good thing that they did, just kind of make sure they push you. They saw like, all
Mhm.
right, he not, he could be one of us, but he can be better.
Yeah, I know. I mean, absolutely. It was nice that, I wanted to, get active with my guys, and they'll leave me without even telling me. And when they get back, they're like, we ain't want you to come. That's why we left you. I go in the
Mm,
house and, get something, and I come back, everybody gone, So it's like, I'm like, why y'all leaving me? And, even though they could have easily brought me in because, I was one of those type of guys who was like a leader,
mm-hmm.
and, it wasn't, it wasn't too many people who was going to stand in front of me and challenge me when it comes to if I wanted to do something back then.
Right.
But when you got a whole hood, when you got 15 to 20 guys from your hood, and they come together and they like, man, you ain't going nowhere. You sit down, man. You better go shoot a jump
Mm-hmm.
shot or something, man. Those days over for you, man. That showed me that it wasn't even about me trying to fit in with them. They saw something in me that could help all of us get out the hood, and or
Mm-hmm.
me at least try to help the hood or help them individually as well. So I mean, it was great that they did that, and I always appreciate that, and I always let them know that to this day.
Was it for you any survivor's remorse at any point in time? Because I know when I left, my neighborhood to go, and there were plenty of other more talented guys than me that could have done better, but they took the other road,
Hmm.
and you weren't home, and you hear this happens to this person, that, and all of that.
Hmm.
Was there any time where you were like, dang, man, is this really what I want to do? Do I belong here?
As far as being
Like
in
when
like
you were in
in basketball,
UVA, like going to
oh,
UVA at that time, and
oh,
specifically college.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you gotta understand. Like I went to school at an early age, so I went to UVA at the age of 17. So when
Mm,
I'm at there, you think I'm coming from a straight hood to a university where it's predominantly white. So it was almost a shell shock when I first got there because I had never seen that many white people in my life in one place.
mm,
So I was kind of nervous, and I'm like, well, is this some type of clan thing or something? Because that's my mentality, because I'm from the
mm.
hood, and I
Right.
never seen really outside of that. So it was like, I don't know. But then I started seeing some of my teammates, and I started seeing people that look like me on campus, and I was like, okay, and I met my wife there as well. So that's a plug right there. So
You
uh,
better have said that.
yeah, I gotta plug that in right now. But I think with that, it was like a shell shock. But when you're an athlete and you in that type of situation, I'm coming from All American, 3-time player of the year nationally in high school, and top 10 in the country. It was easy transitioning for people
Mm-hmm.
accepting me because everybody was just trying to be a friend or say, I know him. So I fitted in real well. So it was a tough transition at first. It was mainly schoolwork that socially I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
UVA is the number one academic school publicly. So you got to understand, again, I'm coming from the hood and I'm going to the number one academic school. It's kind of like, all right, now I don't know these type of questions. I don't. What are y'all talking about? So it was definitely a rude awakening for me.
Now that experience at UVA, like, besides like that initial shock, was there anything in the, like, while you were there that kind of like stood out to say, this is, you coming from the hood and then you get there and it's predominantly white? Is it like, was there any like blatant stuff towards you or things that you, okay, or because of the athlete status, it was like they respected you?
Yeah, it was it was like coming to American rose petals was just throwing when I walked. I'm serious. Like I'm not exaggerating by at all. My wife
Got
will
you.
tell you because my wife. I've been with her since I was in college, so she knows my travels and she know how it was. So it
Mm-hmm.
was. I didn't have any issues. I didn't have anybody pull any kind of race cards or nah, nah.
Yeah, I always wondered why Brick went to UVA, Brickishaw Ferguson. I always
That's
wondered
my
why he
guy.
chose. Yeah, I always wondered why he chose UVA. Coming
Mhm.
from New York,
Yeah.
he had Syracuse. He had all of the places up, back home to stay
Hmm.
home, and
Hmm.
he chose UVA. I always wondered, and I said it must have
It was
been like
very
that
cool. It
because
was,
he could
yeah,
have
it
went
was like that.
anywhere.
Yeah, it was definitely like that. And I always tell people to this day, they be like, man, he went to UVA, that's a white school. I'm like, listen to me. It's not what you see. Because
Mm-hmm.
9 out of 10, when most people go on college visit trips that's not athletes, they go on during the day. During the
Mm-hmm.
day, you're not going to see too many of us just walking campus. So it looks like it is predominantly white, but it's a lot of diversity there. When I was there, let me speak on that. When I was there, was a lot of diversity there. So for me, it was, I mean, it was number one party school too while we was there. Playboy, sports, it was Playboy Sports Illustrated magazine had us rated number one in party schools. And I'm like, this is crazy. And then I saw why it was number one in party schools, and
Mm-hmm.
just it was never like a dull moment at UVA. No, no. And that's my
Gotcha.
guy, Brick. Brick, my guy. I was in a couple classes with him. So
Yeah, I played against him in high school a couple times.
oh,
We
okay, okay,
his height. Well, you can't call it a rivalry in football because they always were better coached than we were, but
okay.
and other things they were like pretty much down the road kind of thing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they were kind of more of a mixed school. We were the black school, so yeah, but he's a good guy, man, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
always
definitely a
wondered
good
like
guy.
why the hell did you go to UVA? But
And
you
that's
know,
it. And that's why it never slept. I'll tell you that one. It never sleeps. So.
that's what's up.
Got you. So you had a great career overseas. How now once you left UVA, what was the step after UVA? Once you
Well, I had a great set. Like I said, I do. I'm an open book and transparent.
mm-hmm.
I caught a case my senior year, probably like a month before the NBA draft,
Mm,
um, and I was supposed to be the 17th pick with the Indiana Pacers um, to the first round. And when I caught this case, this is actually the same year Ron Artest and Steven Jackson got into that fight at Detroit.
Hmm.
And I'll
mm,
never forget on TV they ESPN and PTI at that time, they was like, why would you draft Elton Brown and put him with Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson? And they turned me apart because the case was like a big thing
mm-hmm.
um, when I caught it. And I was looking at some years. I was looking at like 15 years.
Mm,
Um, and you got to think, I'm coming from all American high school, All American basketball in college, and then I'm getting ready for the draft, and I catch a case 3 to 4 weeks before the draft, and
Mm.
I'm sitting with like 10 to 15 over my head, and I'm just sitting here like how life can just change instantly like that.
mm-hmm.
It was definitely a rude awakening. So my transition wasn't smooth from college to the professional level like it should have been. Um, but in life things happen, and you gotta. I took the tougher route to make it to the professional level, and it worked out well. I can't complain at all. I mean, I probably lost some money. I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, you going from the 17th pick in the first round in the NBA to not being drafted at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a rude awakener. Eye awakener. So for me, I just took that, I trained harder. I had a good agent. He made sure I still was relevant. He let people know like I wasn't what the system tried to make me be and portray me as. And actually I had the same lawyer as Al Iverson because he's from the same
Yeah, Bubba.
neighborhood from
I was gonna
us.
say, I was gonna
Yeah,
ask you about Bubba Chuck.
yeah. We had we ended up my agent and I'm drawing a blank, and his agent somehow got together, and they know we from the same area. We know each other, we
Mm-hmm.
all from the same. And I ended up having the same lawyer that he had when he had, had his situation, and it ended up working out. I didn't have to do any time with, community service and good
Mm-hmm.
behavior, and it had to be on paperwork.
Yeah.
So, it was a tough transition, but I made it work for me.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that me and D always talk about in this show is surviving, the stigmas and the societal things, and
Mm-hmm.
everything that you've had to deal with put in front of you. That's what it's all about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Mm-hmm.
looking back, I mean, there's so many times I look back to things that I got into that affected this, affected that, and
Hmm.
in my trajectory and playing and not going where I could have gone and done better. And,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we are survivors. You know what I mean? Things could be so much different.
Yeah. Oh,
And
mm,
I just want to let you know, and I'm sure D feels the same way, man. We salute you because,
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
who
Appreciate that.
knows what it could have been,
Oh man, yeah, it could have.
And
It definitely could have went left.
and then like I always say, like we all have our own definition of success.
Mm,
And I think your level of success, where it's different from mine, you accomplished it, and you've done a lot of things that many others can say they haven't.
mm,
And just your resiliency and just your willingness. I applaud you for ending early and coming back for your family.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's commendable because many guys will just like, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead, stay over here, get this
Hmm.
money.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send.
yeah,
I'm gonna get this money. I'm gonna send the money, but I'm gonna still get this money.
yeah. I mean, that's an absolutely true statement. And good thing about my wife, she never been where like it never money was never a thing. Or like she didn't
Mm,
care about sports. She didn't care that I was making money. That wasn't her concern. Like she never cared about money, and that's what made me draw to her because of that. With that, and piggybacking on what you're saying as far as like what's your definition of success. For me, success was just me being able to go to college. If my career
mm,
would have ended just after college, I would have been successful in my mind, because like I said, I went through so many things that could have easily went either way for me, and I was lucky enough to be on that wave that was the positive way.
mm-hmm,
Granted, like I said, I had cases, but it could have been a lot more that a lot more. So I just think that, like for me, the motivation of hearing my mom play back, like you're gonna be there in jail,
mm,
you're gonna be working here, and just hearing that, hearing that, and then every time I hit a roadblock or a dead end, I would flash back to that, and I'm like, man,
mm,
I can't prove her right. I can't, And my mom loved me, and then we get it twisted, but I was such a like, I was bad. Like
mm,
I'm telling you, like to the point where my mom wanted to ship me off to my dad. My dad lived in Houston, so
mm,
when you get to that point and you're the only child, you live in the hood. My mom wasn't home never because she had to work two jobs. So I'm
mm-hmm,
coming home from school. I'm staying out late. I'm hanging out with the guys on the corner to like 12, 1 on school nights. And I'm like ninth, eighth. I mean, seventh, eighth grade. I'm
mm,
hanging out with the guy, the older guy. I always hung out with older guys. So I was always the youngest in my crew. So it was just like I'm hanging out and like anything could happen. And things happen.
mm,
I just was blessed enough that God was able to, push me the opposite direction or make sure that bullet didn't hit me or, that bullet flew past me or my bullet didn't hit nobody, you know what I mean? So it was just like anything could have happened. So I always thank God that I'm like, man, thank you,
mm-hmm.
for everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. What advice would you have for the young man that is sitting at home that is the next Elton Brown Jr. that came up in the hood, no father figure or no father in the home rather, in the hood, on the brink of doing something, but has another way. What advice would you give them?
The biggest advice is be your own man. That's I think like that's the biggest thing that you have to be when you in those type of situations. Don't allow other people or other groups um, give you that verification that you are somebody or you can make it. You have to believe it within yourself. You got to be able to be your own person and be a leader and say, look, man, y'all going to do that? I'm doing the opposite of what y'all doing. If y'all going over here and rob that, I'm going to go over here and go home and watch TV. Or I'm going to go cook some popcorn and chill in the house. Because, at the end of the day, like, there's only two things that's going to happen. You're going to be dead as a jet or in jail. And, you people hear that so many times. They hear it. And people don't realize it until it's too late because people don't ever think stuff can happen to them. Nobody actually thinks that negativity can happen to them. You see it on TV, you see it on the newspapers, you hear about it on the radio, but you don't never think it could be you. So that the fact that when you don't think it could be you, that's when it's kind of like you make yourself vulnerable to those type of situations, to making the wrong decision. But if you come in there with your own brain and your own mindset and like, hey, look, this is how I'm going to move, and I don't care who like it, but this is how I'm going to move so I can be able to do what I need to do. You have to focus on yourself. Don't allow the peer pressure. Don't allow all the the fake hype in the hood, making it seem like it's cool to be a tough guy or a bad guy. Because it's not. It's really not. I always tell people being successful is gangster. Taking care of your family is gangster. Those are the things to me that's gangster because, I'm all about my family, and I think most and friends. And I think that, if you're in that situation, you need to be about yourself, your family, and those who care about you.
Absolutely, I will 100% agree. So, I want to, we talked a little bit about your, your history, your past. I want to kind of get into like what you're currently doing, and kind of give us because you shifted from, you played professionally for 14 years. Now you shifting you on the other side. You're finding that new thing, that new passion, that kind of gets you going every day. So, can you tell us a little bit about your current endeavors and what is that you do?
Yeah, right now I'm the owner of a senior transitional moving company called Boomers Transitions. I started it in 2017. Right now we're on our way for 6 years. This year coming up October will be 6 years. Um, it was a tough transition because again, playing basketball for that long period of time, I never had anybody telling me what to do technically because if you're making more than the coaches don't really. I mean, you can't really tell me much because my contract higher than yours. So if I don't like what you're saying, I used to, at that age, I would tell them. So I had a hard time of seeing myself visually working for somebody, being that my whole career I never had a job my
Mm.
whole career. So I never knew what it was like to have somebody sitting over you or working a 9 to 5. So I said in my mind, I said, I know my attitude and I know how I am. I know I can't work a 9 to 5 and I know I can't be controlled with somebody telling me what to do. And I tell people there's nothing wrong with that, but everybody has different situations. And my situation is I just happen to play basketball all my life. So I don't know how it is to work. And I know how I am, and it's not going to work for me. So, that allowed me to focus and say, like, all right, I want to try something on my own. And, you know, I thought of something. My grandmother went through a transitional period when I was actually playing when it came to moving. And it was like a terrible experience. Terrible experience. I'm across seas. I'm trying to handle that situation over there, but I got to handle my family situation.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really wanted to pack up my grandmother's house. Nobody wanted to help move. Nobody wanted to do any of the work. So once I retired, I was like, well, how can I, what can I do? And I quit instantly thought of my grandmother. And I was like,
Mm.
well, if I had a company who take care of seniors and help them in a transitional period from helping them sell their house, clear the house out, get it sold, and transition them into a senior community or senior 55 and under, 55 and up housing development, they don't have that. So I was like, if they don't have that, that's a big must. And you look at the generationals now, like baby boomers are getting bigger. You know, the generation is just getting bigger. The senior generation is getting bigger. So people are turning seniors. I forgot the stats, but it's almost like, um, what was it? I don't want to lie to y'all, so I ain't gonna say it, but I can't remember the percentage, but it's a lot of percentage of what everyday people are turning seniors, which let me know that this is a business that's going to be booming for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always told people I didn't do it for the money. I did it for just because I knew a lot of families needed that. You know, how many times you hear people, you know, a grandmother pass or a parent pass, and nobody wants to clear out the house. Nobody want to get the items, but everybody want the money for the house when it's sold.
Everybody want the money. That's the first thing.
That's the first thing. So, you know, I said, well, if I can find a company to help with this process and make the moving and the downside seamless, that I think it could be a great situation. And I rolled the dice. I funded everything myself. I didn't do any loans or anything. I just said, you know, hey, I'm gonna just take a leap of faith for my own self. And I was blessed that it worked out, you know, and now, you know, and had over, you know, 30 some employees within the 6 years. And I was voted, we was voted #1 in the state of Virginia by Our Health magazine for the last 2 years.
Nice.
It's a dope concept, man. Dope
I
concept.
appreciate it. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
I've worked with that community and
Hmm.
looking at all that stuff like, oh, I don't know how you getting out neither.
Yeah, I ain't moving this. Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely like. I know when my grandma passed, that was a big thing. Trying to clean out the house. It's like,
Yeah.
nope. Ain't nobody want to go in that basement. Ain't nobody want to go in a
Yeah,
room.
exactly. Exactly.
It was like, nah. I'm just gonna sit outside on the porch.
Yeah,
Y'all can figure out what y'all gonna take. I'll be here.
absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely understand that. So I mean, definitely a great business, great idea. You know, wish you much success with that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely wish you much success with that. I do have like, who are some of the people that were influential in getting you where you are today? If you could, I know I always say, can you give us a top three? But for some people, that a top three is kind of hard. But you know,
Mhm.
give us who you think, like the key people who kind of helped you get to where you are, that you know
Wow.
supported you.
Well, I mean, that's for me, it's easy. You know, my mom was #1. My grandmother, my mom and grandma, I grouped them as one, you know, because they
Mm,
was always together and it was always us, you know, me, my grandma, my mom. People thought me and my mom was sisters and brothers for the longest. So, you know, those two right there. My high school basketball coach, Coach Moore, he passed away a few years ago. He was my high school coach, and honestly, he actually was the one who actually put me on the map nationally um, with basketball because he put me in the position to do that.
mm,
My third one will be Boo Williams, who I played for 4 years. He's another person who was able, him and my coach from high school was able to put me in that you know, being a Nike All American, McDonald's All American, like being those, you know, if it wasn't for them, I don't get that chance because I remember my freshman year, I averaged my, my freshman year, I averaged 23.9 in high school, and I didn't get one
mm,
college letter. So I was like, hold on, why I didn't get a college letter? And my high school coach was like, well, the issue is you playing. They want to see how you play against other players that's good like you. You
mm,
dominating the Peninsula District, which our Peninsula District was tough. But they were saying like, you know, we want to see you play against other people. If he had not had that knowledge of knowing that, I wouldn't have went to him putting me in front of Boo Williams, who Boo Williams said, look, you're gonna play on my team at 14 years old, and I was playing with the 17-year-olds when I was 14,
mm,
which allowed me to. So now I'm 14, I'm playing with the 17-year-olds. So now all the college scouts, all the NBA scouts, they're like, this 14-year-old play with 17-year-olds, and it allowed me to get recognition. And my last guy would be my cousin Nathan Watts. His nickname was Prudy. He was like a father figure with me. He passed away a couple of years ago as well, and I mean, he was more so that person who's kind of like kept me on the right path, you
mm,
know, making sure like, hey, you know, you need some money. Yeah, I don't want you out here doing that crazy, you know, picking me up,
mm,
taking me here. Like, if I get in trouble, he's there to help me out, bail me out. It was just so many things that he did for me outside of basketball that allowed me to focus on basketball because I didn't have to worry about, my latter part of my career of high school. Like, where am I gonna get this money from? I need some shoes. I need some clothes. I need this. I want to be fly. He take me shopping. He like, look, I'm gonna take care of you. So you need to just focus on basketball. So, those four right there, I would say, they definitely ain't even a question. They all, everyone for them. I'm not here today. And then God, because He allowed me to miss a lot of stuff and then we put God number one. So it's a top five.
Gotcha.
We put number five. I'm just saying, on the earth, physically, those are the people who.
Listen, I got it. Well, speaking of top five, since you went there, who's your top five basketball players all time?
I know who you better put in that five.
Top five basketball players all time.
Of course, I'm gonna go with the GOAT, MJ. That's my GOAT.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Tim Duncan. My power forward.
Big man bias.
You got to think 5 rings, multiple championships, multiple double first teams, all stars, points in the NBA, rebounds in the NBA, blocks in the NBA. Like, that man was. Hey, I think his game wasn't crafted for visual looking, so nobody likes how Tim Duncan played. But when you look at that black and white, you can't deny he's a top 5 player of all time, just by the numbers alone. So I got MJ, I got Tim Duncan. I'm gonna go. I played with Kobe, so I'm gonna throw Kobe in there because when seeing him in person is different from seeing him on TV. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. What you see on TV and then when you actually sitting down and just like maybe watching him practice, total different things. Like, like, okay, it's nothing like him. I got to put LeBron in there for what he did. You can't argue that. And I will close out with probably like Hakeem. Hakeem was for sure he's the best center of all time. Now Shaq is the most dominant center, but when it comes to like skill set and footwork and all that, nobody was messing with Hakeem. Hakeem used to kill Shaq. He used to get Shaq fits all the time.
He used to kill everybody. Man.
Everybody. So that'll be That's my top 5.
I was watching '94 finals.
Oh yeah. Hakeem is a problem, man. He was a problem. Yeah. I'm curious. Let me ask you, what's your top 5? Both of y'all. I'm curious.
I'm not gonna. See, I can't say that I'm the biggest basketball fan, but I'm more. I'll be honest. I'm more of a football guy.
Okay.
But I would have to say MJ will be in my top. I think you can't. Sure. I think you really can't. You can't like 6-0 in the finals. I don't care what you do. You can't. Nobody can top that. I love LeBron too. Like everybody else, I think he's a great player. I will never put him over Michael Jordan. Never.
No.
Yeah.
So I'll say MJ, definitely LeBron, and definitely Kobe. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean I would have to go with those 3.
Yeah.
And
okay.
2 more.
I know you're stretching it at that point, huh?
Yeah, I'm stretching it at that point because like for me it's like I know a lot of local people from from the Baltimore area, like the Sam Cassell, like the Reggie Williams, like the Keith Booth, all like the Dante Bright, all them, So I'm going to be biased to some of the Baltimore folks, like because I support my people. That's just it.
So you got to put Melo in there then if you say Baltimore.
Yeah, I would not.
Melo from New York.
No, Melo. Yeah, he technically is. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Technically, he is.
For the technicality, you got that one.
You got that one. So we're gonna go ahead and X that out.
No. I would probably go back to like the Muggsy Bogues, or the David Wingate. If I'm gonna put somebody from Baltimore there, it's another guy. I can't think of his name. Oh, Skip Wise. It's Skip Wise. I heard was bad. We had another hoop on there. His name was Omar. He told us like Skip Wise. He was like 45, still giving guys younger than him the business. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
but only thing I saw his name on the rafters because I went to Dunbar. So
okay.
So I mean, and in Dunbar you gotta be, I wasn't a hooper,
Absolutely.
so I already knew when I went and tried out. Like I already knew I wasn't get on the team.
Yeah, that's a powerhouse right there.
For me, it was like I'm just going to practice. I know I wasn't get on the team. So just kind of seeing those names on the wall and just kind of those different people. Like if I would add anybody from Baltimore, it would probably be those like the pillars, like those guys like Muggsy, Reggie Williams, David Wingate, Skip Wise. It's a whole rack of them. So yeah. So that's kind of like my extent of basketball knowledge.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
so I know
MJ,
you must got a tough top 5.
MJ easy, you got to put Larry in there for me. Kareem, absolutely can't have those. Dr. J, because I'm biased, he's from my hood, so I'm biased, and he was just phenomenal, man.
Yeah, he was.
And fifth guy, dang, that's tough. Dang, yeah, that's a tough one. I guess I would have to say Kobe, man. Because I also look at those guys, him, MJ, some of those guys, they were generational. They played in multi generations. So, when you have a question, who could have did what back when, those are guys that actually touched different generations.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And no, let me forget, I always gonna put my boy Chuck. Chuck, he'd be on the 6. He'd be in the 6th spot.
Bubba Chuck or Chuck Barkley.
Oh no, Bubba Chuck.
I was gonna say, man. I was gonna say, I knew you had to get Bubba Chuck in there.
Yeah, like I mean, because at the end of the day, my opinion. I mean, I try not to be biased, but Iverson, he definitely changed the game from a standpoint. I mean, he changed the game. And there's a few people that can actually, like Steph Curry changed the game.
Absolutely.
Iverson changed the game. Jordan, Shaq changed the game. When they change rules because of you, that's when you're changing the game. And Iverson is definitely, arguably in my top 5, but I just didn't want to be biased. So
I wouldn't be mad at you, man.
I absolutely
take LeBron out for Iverson easily. I would easily take LeBron out for Iverson easily. But I didn't want to be biased. Absolutely.
Football to basketball, super talented, man. My roommate was from Portsmouth. And the dude, y'all VA guys, man.
Yeah, we different.
He went to Oscar Smith, and
okay.
Yeah, he loved Iverson, and so VA guy.
I already know. Between him and Michael Vick, Vick from Newport News. I actually played with Vick in high school because we grew up together. He played basketball. So, when you got two of those people, we was like, we got the best football player and we got the best basketball player, hands down. At one point, it was like Newport News. We was running the country with them too, and then we had Aaron Brooks too. Let's not forget about him from the Newport News as well.
He went to did he go to UVA too?
Yeah, he went to UVA.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
He went to UVA.
I know Aaron Brooks
too. Yeah, there's a lot of us that's from that 757 area that we could Joe Smith, Lonzo Mourning. Like it's a lot of us that's they not from like 9th Street, Joe Smith and all them, but they from the 757 area. But Vic grew up in my neighborhood though. Vic lived across the street from me. So
wow.
He was in the hood with me.
So. Did he ever try to get you to play football, or did you play football in high school?
No, my coach wasn't having that.
Coach like, nope, that's one thing you ain't doing.
He was like, you can do. He was like, I don't care what sport you play, you ain't playing. If you want to do something off season like track or something, you would not play football though. I was like, hey, ain't no problem. I played football when I was younger, but
gotcha.
Nothing when I was in high school.
All right, man. I just want to thank you again for just kind of sitting and just kind of sharing your story. Definitely much appreciated, and definitely and really enjoyed it. To hear about the different things that you experienced, and I'm just happy that you were able to share that experience with us. So, I just want to say thank you for everyone who joined us today for this episode of Unapologetically Black Male, where we talk about surviving the stigma, standards, and systems. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all social media outlets so that we can continue to push this message of positivity for African-American men, sharing our story, sharing our definition of success, but also sharing, our lives in an unapologetically way. So I hopefully you enjoyed it and look forward to meeting with you and seeing you on our next episode of Unapologetically Black Male. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you.